the Kansas City Chiefs and how they've been winning football games this season. Week 1, win versus the Ravens. Isaiah Likely catches the touchdown, goes to replay, his toes on the line. They win the game. Week 2, PI in the back of the end zone on Week 2 was against win against the Bengals. PI late in the game, did not have to touch him at all. It was the right call, but still gets bailed out. Game-winning field goal by Harrison Butker wins that game. Win versus the Bucks. Wait, when did they play the Falcons?
The Chiefs?
Yeah. Week 3? Yeah. Week 3, they play the Falcons. Miss PI call in the back of the end zone against Kyle Pitts. The defender was in his lap, face guarding. That's called 10 times. That was called literally the next week on prime time. And the Chiefs obviously get the call. They win that game 22-17. Game-winning field goal. Shocking. Week 9 versus the Bucks. Bucks are without Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Honestly, I thought this game was going to be a blowout. The Bucks score late, don't go for 2, send it into overtime. They never get the ball back. The Chiefs win that game 30-24. Week 12, overtime or week 10, blocked field goal win against the Broncos. Maybe the craziest play of all time.
Yeah.
Week 12, OT win versus the Panthers. Again, gave up a touchdown late. Panthers never got the ball back. They took care of business. Week 13, the Raiders miscue on the snap, which it is what it is. Like, some people said that most of the time that would be called a false start. It wasn't. It is, and they go and lose the game. And then week 14 against the Chargers last night, the double doink. And instead of it not going in, the Chiefs always get the right bounce and it goes in and they win the football game. This team, it makes absolutely zero sense to me. Everybody has been bringing up point differential, and I don't know why. And maybe you can shed some light on this. I've never really heard anybody talk about it too much, except for when a team is winning and they're bad. Like, I think it was getting brought up a little bit when the Minnesota Vikings were winning like 2 years ago with that Kirk Cousins team, when they were had one loss. But their point differential is not in the top 10. They're at plus 54 or 56. For example, the Bucks are at plus 54 point differential, and they are 7-6, and the Chiefs are 12-1. The one thing that I will give complete credit for, the Chiefs are extremely hurt. I think Rashee Rice on this offense would be an absolute. He might have had 1,400 yards this year. He looked so good to start the year.
He was chewing.
Hollywood Brown, I think that he wasn't going to be that good for them, but he would have obviously been better what they have now at this point. And then obviously their first round draft pick and Xavier Worthy, he hasn't been that great, but who knows with those other two guys on the field that they'd be able to do it. But ultimately, at the same time, you go and you trade for D-Hop, who he has his flashes, and you still have the best tight end in football, Travis Kelce, even though he hasn't really been producing. So I don't know how much leeway to really give them on something like that. What do you think about all these? Go ahead.
I don't think that I've ever seen a team consistently get the ball to bounce their way more than the Kansas City Chiefs since Patrick Mahomes got there. Yeah. Like, that guy fell to them in the draft in the first place, and then they go out and put together they win a Super Bowl, and then they get rid of their second best player in Tyreek Hill, win a Super Bowl again, put up a 9-7 season, and still win the Super Bowl. They get their guy. I think that Xavier Worthy was their guy that fell to hit the Chiefs at the end of the first round last year. They get their guy in the draft, regardless of what we think of him. And I mean, maybe the most unlucky thing that they've had is Rashee Rice tearing his ACL, but like
Allegedly.
they've still allegedly still been able to manage to put together like a Frankenstein wide receiver core, and what do you know? It's kind of working, and they get the ball to bounce their way again last night. Justin Herbert looked significantly better than Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes just it feels like Mahomes just gets outdueled every game, but there'll be a bounce here and there that just ends up playing in the Chiefs' favor, and they just somehow sneak another win out.
I'm happy you said that. Over the last 2 seasons, on a week-to-week basis, Patrick Mahomes just flat isn't the best quarterback in the NFL. He's just not. Like, you can take like his accolades and everything and be like, well, he's won that. Okay, whatever. Good for him. It's a team sport at the end of the day. When we're just talking about like pure like talent, I think this year is actually a really good example on like how to assess all these guys. Like, Lamar doesn't really have the best surrounding cast other than like Derrick Henry. Josh Allen has had his cast completely stripped of him. He has nothing. And then like Patrick Mahomes, like still like I would argue that Patrick Mahomes has a better core than what Josh Allen has right now. Like, you don't
I think they're probably equal.
How?
I think that Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins pretty much cancel themselves out. I think
Amari Cooper sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they cancel each other out.
But
I don't think D-Hop's like
D-Hop has had what 4 touchdowns since he's been with the Chiefs. Amari Cooper's had 1.
I think Khalil Shakir makes up for that little bit. Maybe that D-Hop is better than Amari Cooper. I guess the Travis Kelce thing's like the only real advantage that the Chiefs have. But I think the rest of the wide receivers kind of cancel themselves out.
And ultimately, like at the end of the day, like I don't care if Xavier Worthy hasn't been like quote unquote like producing for them, but like Xavier Worthy was the guy that they traded up for in the first round and grabbed. So like at some point, like that needs to be held over them. And it's time to have the conversation about MVS breaking out on the Saints and Patrick Mahomes is holding them back.
Correct.
But no, I'm just playing. But I think right now,
Derek Carr has him looking right.
I think right now it's a good chance to get a good feel for like what these top quarterbacks like Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar, and Patrick Mahomes. When I watch, first off, Josh Allen, I think Josh Allen might be the best quarterback in the NFL. It's between him and Lamar for me personally.
I got Josh Allen.
They're just flat better. They're just flat better than Patrick Mahomes. There's nothing else that needs to be said. Whenever somebody's like, you give Patrick Mahomes the ball with 2 minutes and he gets them he goes down and wins the game. Okay, that's fine. But good for you for having a good kicker. That's awesome.
What about the other 46 minutes of the football game? Like those matter too.
They have to matter at some point. And I don't care what anyone says. We got a ton of shit for saying that he wasn't close to Tom Brady in the offseason. And I mean, we're watching this play out right now. He is nowhere close to Tom Brady. He's not even the best quarterback in the league right now. And I'm tired of everybody sitting around being like, well, he just like doesn't really have like the supporting cast. It's like, if you look at Justin Herbert's supporting cast, look at Lamar Jackson's supporting cast, look at Josh Allen's supporting cast. The guys who are at the top, none of them have crazy wide receiving cores at all. It's literally just flat them being elevators in the offense. And all of them have, besides the Chargers, I think Herbert's been playing flawless football. I mean, if you look at his core that he has, I mean, Loud McConkey was out and they literally had Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer, and I didn't even know who was out.
Stone Smart had a career night.
So I just think that it's a good time to assess these talents. And I just don't think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. And whatever, like he can go and win another Super Bowl. I don't think they three-peat this year. I think it's impossible. We both were on that in the beginning of the season, say no shot they three-peat. This team's not good. I brought up the Minnesota Vikings from 2 years ago. Why is nobody saying like how fluky some of these wins are? Like no one has like the courage to like come out and be like, man, like these are fluky ass wins and they're just getting extremely lucky. Like everybody's like, well, it's a broken record. Like this is just like what the Chiefs do, like blah, blah, blah. Well, at some point, like it's not going to bounce your way. So I don't think that what they're doing right now is sustainable. And I think that if I was a team right now, I would want to play the Chiefs after round one and just knock them out because this team, like everybody's like, well, they're scared, like going in Arrowhead and all this, that, and the third. I don't think it's like that this year. I just don't think this is a good football team.
I would love for this year, like, to be the Josh Allen Bills year to dethrone the Chiefs because I just think that Josh Allen has played his absolute ass off, and I want him to start to be the conversation of this is the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he's been playing like that the entire season. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Um, and like I said earlier, I think that I still think Mahomes is great, obviously, but he hasn't been playing great this year. Um, and how many times can you realistically count on him to lead you down the field to either a game-winning touchdown, game-winning field goal? That goes back to what you were saying about how this is just not sustainable. You cannot rely. You can Every single time is crazy to have to put your quarterback in that situation where, all right, Patrick, you got to bail us out. We got to go 85 yards and score a touchdown. And he's proven he can do it, but it just feels like that's not the way that you would want to run your offense or your team in general.
I mean, you would think.
Like
I
they
just
never get big leads. They never get big leads in these games. It never feels like they have a dominant performance. And there's just other teams in the NFL that are capable of that. And I truly I don't think the Chiefs are capable of putting out a dominant performance.
I mean, why would you think that? They haven't have they put out a dominant performance in the last 2 years? Like these teams that they've been rolling out like are good, but when they win, it's just a complete team effort. It's not because of Patrick Mahomes. That's really
Correct.
what we're getting at in this situation right here is great team like Andy Reid, all-time great head coach, Spagnuolo, all-time great DC.
DC. Yep.
Like but like this is a team effort for the for the Chiefs. This is a team sport. But like
Yeah.
when everybody's sitting around being like, well, Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT already, he's just not. Like, he's just not. That's really all there is to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he is. He's got a lot to prove, but he's been answering calls. I mean, it's hard to argue with what he's done thus far, but like I still think it's important that in that grand scheme conversation, like you still have to put together like good seasons. I understand that the last 2 minutes are important of a game, and if you're able to come up in those clutch moments, that it helps your case. But like, I think you still have to show that you can put together 46 other minutes of football where you're the best player on the field, and I feel like we really haven't seen that in the last 2 years from Patrick Mahomes. He comes up clutch in the last 2 minutes, but like you still have to be good for a full football game in my book.
Yeah, even yesterday, some of the plays like the Chargers were getting like immense pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and he was just like running out of the pocket. I was like, or making a jump pass. I'm just like, how
And it
does
lands every time.
how does everything go their way? Like it's insane.
It's
But
witchcraft. It's witchcraft and black magic.
what
It's
sucks? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's
Are
crazy.
you
It
okay?
sucks. It sucks.
What
It honestly
stings?
feels like that when I'm watching these football games. I'm like,
I
I'll see uh, uh, Patrick Mahomes escape a sack and left-handed with his eyes closed. Uh, a ball gets tipped, lands right in Travis Kelsey's hands for 35 yards. It's like, what? How does this happen to this guy more than anybody else in the NFL?
bro, what stings so bad is we made a video about the Chiefs like a few weeks ago, and I said they play the Broncos, Bills, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers. I was like, if they like start losing some of these games at that point, there's gonna be some serious conversations had. And they have literally squeaked these wins out by the skin of their teeth every single time, which stings because we could have easily been sitting here having some really like running victory laps on the Chiefs' grave, but I'm just gonna save that I'm gonna save that one for the playoffs.
Yeah, it would be so much sweeter if it came at the hands of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills for me personally.
Oh, for sure.
White clouds blowing out when we max 4-5, not the size, but it kick up high